When most people think of superhero stories, they picture flashy powers, epic battles, and maybe a joke or two before the villain gets punched through a wall. And yeah, Invincible has all that. The blood, the explosions, the larger-than-life spectacle. But the reason it stuck with me isn't the action. The show cuts deeper. It asks what happens when the people we look up to fail us. It asks what family really means when loyalty collides with morality. And honestly, after 3 seasons and years of my life watching it, I think Invincible might just be the perfect superhero story. So let's jump right in and talk about what it means to be in. Now, this video is going to be a bit different than my normal review style. I'm not going to run through our normal checklist of what worked and what didn't. This video will be me unpacking why Invincible works on such a deep level and why I think it resonates with so many people. I'll touch on some of the biggest moments across all 3 seasons, but my goal isn't to spoil it, it's to talk about what this story means. It all starts with season 1. At first, it feels familiar. A teenager named Mark trying to juggle school, friendships, a new girlfriend, and oh yeah, superpowers. On the surface, it feels like Spider-Man with more blood, and his dad, Omni-Man, the greatest superhero on Earth, the guy who can literally fly circles around every other hero. So you think, okay, cool, this is gonna be a fun coming-of-age story. Kid finds his footing, learns his ropes, gets advice from his dad, but then the rug gets pulled. Omni-Man isn't the world's greatest hero. He's the biggest threat humanity has ever faced, and that twist takes a show from a fun superhero cartoon to one of the darkest, most gut-punching twists I've seen in the superhero genre. The final battle in Chicago is where it all crystallizes. Buildings crumble, innocent lives are destroyed, and in the middle of the carnage, you've got a son begging his father to see him as more than disposable. That's when you realize Invincible isn't about powers, it's about the pain of realizing the person you trust most could also be your worst enemy. What makes season 1 sting is the humanity woven in. Debbie, Mark's mom, grounds everything. His friendships feel fragile but real. His school life, his awkward mistakes, they're what makes the violence cut deeper. You don't just watch superheroes clash, you watch a family breaking apart. Oh, and that betrayal, that's not even close to the end. Season 2 takes everything and blows it wide open. The world expands, but the story zeroes in on Mark. With Omni-Man gone, he needs to step up into the role he's not ready for. And the show makes you feel the weight of every decision he makes. This is where we meet Angstrom Levy. On paper, he's a villain with multiverse powers, but in practice, he's actually something scarier. A reflection of how one mistake can spiral into endless tragedy. His vendetta against Mark leads to some of the most brutal confrontations in the entire series. Watching him twist Mark's attempts to do the right thing into catastrophic fallout is brutal because it shows how even good intentions can pave the road to evil. But what I love is that it's not just about villains, it's about responsibility. You see other heroes starting to question their roles. You see certain villains wrestling with their morality, and you see Mark caught between 2 futures. Does he slide toward becoming the man his father was, or does he break free of that shadow? And then the scope shifts. Suddenly, it's not just about protecting a city. The Viltrumite Empire looms over everything. Earth becomes a fragile dot in a massive, uncaring galaxy, and Mark, he's forced to realize that survival now has stakes on a cosmic scale. And if season 1 was about betrayal, season 2 is about survival and the cost of trying to carry weight you were never prepared for. By season 3, you realize this show has no intention of letting up. The battles get bigger, the characters get more layered, and the heartbreak gets even more personal. One of the standouts for me in season 3 is Rexplode. At first, he feels like a throwaway character, the cocky side character who cracks jokes and rubs everyone the wrong way, but season 3 digs deeper. You see the trauma, the mistakes, the insecurity hiding under all that bravado, and slowly Rex transforms into someone capable of genuine sacrifice. His arc is messy, it's raw, and that's what makes it feel so real. Plus, when a character gets a lot more screen time in a new season, you know it can't be good for them. Meanwhile, Mark is pulled in every direction imaginable. He's no longer just Earth's protector. He's caught between worlds, between duty and desire, between the weight of his father's legacy and the hope of building his own. His relationships, whether it's with his mom or Eve or the Guardians of the Globe or Cecil, every single person is being strained and pulled in a different way because of the pressure of the looming threat. And yet what makes season 3 so powerful is that the spectacle is jaw-dropping, but the emotional fallout is what stays with you. And with that being said, this brings me back to Rex. Rex really was like a main character in this season. He made the sacrifice. Watching a guy who was all ego slowly growing into someone capable of that sacrifice hit harder than I expected, because it reminded me that people aren't defined by their worst moments. Growth is messy, but it is possible, and that's why his arc felt more personal to me, because it wasn't an easy arc, but it changed him for the better. So why would I call Invincible the perfect superhero story? it's because it goes beyond the surface. I understand that the heart of the genre isn't just about the powers and the fights. It's actually about the choices that the characters make. It's about taking that responsibility. It's about finding who you are and becoming that hero. Mark's story isn't just about taking punches, and that's perfect for Invincible because Mark doesn't just take punches. He's trying to figure out who he is as a hero, and has that internal battle, and in my opinion that makes it land just that much harder. And the creators definitely poured into this character. The characters are flawed, yes, they make mistakes, they're messy, but still heroic in a way that feels earned. Even in the most brutal moments like the Conquest fight or the Chicago fight with Nolan, they never forget to add that little bit of humanity that just makes the show the show. You get what I'm saying? And yes, for me, speaking of the Chicago fight, that is probably the pinnacle of the show for me currently. I've read the comics. If you want a video about that, let me know. But for currently in the show, that's probably the standout fight. It's Conquest is close, but there's just that emotion of the father-son battle, and the stakes are real. And at the end of the day, Invincible works because it balances the extraordinary like space and Viltrumites with the everyday life of Mark and him becoming the hero, going to school, going to college, you know, the everyday life. It's emotional without being like manipulative, hopeful without feeling over cheesy. Some points are, but the overall show, it doesn't just tell a superhero story, it tells a pretty human story in the middle of extraordinary circumstances. And that's why for me, Invincible isn't just another comic adaptation. It's one of, if not the best origin stories. And no, I'm not comparing this to Marvel or DC or other characters that have origin stories. It's just as a character, Invincible's origin story is probably one of the best you can get. And I did a whole lot of yapping in this video. I hope it made sense. It probably didn't, but I hope it did. And with that being said, thank you for joining me in today's movie review. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and feel free to check out my previous ones. I put a lot of work into these videos and I try to improve on each one, so if you can, check it out. It tells the algorithm my videos are worth watching. And as always, stay curious, let's keep the conversation going.